All right. Looks like we're getting started. Okay.
I have a feed.
Great. I'm just going to kind of hide the window there so I don't get the like all the playback there. Okay. Let me just get set up on gossip groups. All right. So let me just send out a note. Okay. All right. Just bear with us for a second. We just want to making sure that it's on. Can everyone hear me okay? Just want to check the sound before we actually get started. Okay, not hearing anything. Let's see, we got people on the stream.
I can check. I can check on YouTube. I'm pretty sure the sound was coming in on YouTube.
Okay. All right. So I think we're ready to get started here. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. It's the Gossip Guy here, your trusted source for news and updates coming from the world powered by Hashgraph. And I want to welcome you all to our first live stream. We're going to be doing the live stream this week in place of the weekly Gossip and Hashgraph series. I'm obviously doing this from my apartment, so apologies if you hear any background noise. I do live here in New York City, so as you can probably hear in the background, from time to time we might hear some police cars run by or ambulances. That's just the inherent risk of, or the inherent issues of living here in New York. So apologies in advance for that. We also, yes, New York City background noise. I'm going to be watching both the Gossip Group's Discord server, which we have a link in the description down below where you can join, and we're going to be hosting the chat through that. I'm also taking a look at the YouTube chat channel too. So if anyone has any questions, we'll be looking at those. And yeah, I just once again want to really thank you all for joining the live stream. I know for anyone that's on the East Coast, this is obviously much later than we would normally like to do these streams. This is really just going to be a test to just see how this works out, because we'd like to do more live streams in the future. So yeah, bear with me as we kind of go through this. So as I mentioned, this is replacing my weekly Gossip in Hashgraph series. And I do have an agenda of some updates I'd like to go over. And then we'll also spend some time at the end to just have some general Q&A. And if there's anything people want to share or talk about, we'll kind of open it up to that. Before we dive into the topics I wanted to cover today, I do want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Supermax67, who this live stream wouldn't be possible without. So just want to thank Supermax67 for basically all the contributions, and also kind of pushing me to do one of these live streams, and also help me get the Gossip Group's Discord server up and running. So big thanks to Supermax. And I guess before we get started, Supermax, do you want to say anything or?
Sure. Well, I think this was overly due. I think we were talking about doing this back in May, and your schedule was hectic and overburdened. I mean, you've been spending so much time with Hashgraph and the Hedera team. If you look around the community, you won't find anyone that's actually following this project to, how could I say, to a certain level of professionalism. It's rare to see people put that much effort, and I said to myself, well, this guy could use a little bit of my expertise with streaming. And we start coordinating a few things. We got the Discord set up. I think it's coming along nicely. We have, I'd like to mention, we have an ambassador channel. Hopefully, we will get some momentum there. We're hoping to help ambassadors communicate together, share documentation, experience, hopefully helping the Hedera project moving along faster. Thanks, Jesse. I just saw the cheer there. Maybe I should tell a bit about myself. I guess no one knows who I am.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that for any folks that are watching this, you might be scratching your head, who exactly is Supermax67? If you don't know, it's probably one of the most active members within the Hashgraph community. I guess if you're on the Discord developer server, you'll definitely see his username pop up over and over again. But I would have to say he's probably one of the most active members out there on the internet as far as basically providing education and also starting discussions around Hashgraph and other communities. So I would have to say that Supermax actually probably spends, although he's very active for Hashgraph, he's also spending a lot of the times facilitating discussions in some of the other distributed ledger communities that are out there. So I didn't mean to take your thunder there, but I just wanted to let everyone know that although they might not see you on a day-to-day basis, you're pretty active.
Yes, I am. So as good as Gossip Guy is with delivery content creation, being professional, I'm more of the one-on-one guy, spending time a lot on YouTube actually, because you'd be surprised how much lack of community support there is on YouTube. There is on Telegram, there is on Twitter, but YouTube is the far west, like the wild west. That's a word I was looking for. And Rafi is looking for a pick. Sorry, no pick. I'm a behind the scene kind of guy. I don't look to be famous, but I look to support it any way I can.
All right, so I got a little bit of gossip to share for all the folks that are watching the stream. So I asked myself when I first met Supermax, hey, you're pretty active, like on YouTube in the comments sections. You're pretty active on the Discord servers. Why don't you build content? Apparently Supermax was also big on Twitch and other gaming live streams. And I asked, why aren't you putting more content out there? And apparently, the gossip is Supermax does not like the sound of his voice. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or any thoughts on that, but I think that French Canadian accent kind of adds like an extra touch, and definitely makes it more interesting and probably a better narration than my upstate New York accent. So just throwing that out there.
Well, I'm only doing the streaming. Technically, I don't have to hear the sound of my own voice, so I'm good here.
Okay. Well, okay.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, all right. So enough of the bro love. I guess let's dive into the live stream. So so kind of kicking things off, I want to start things first with with an update from Hedera Hashgraph. And basically what we've probably seen in the past week is some of the updates that they've begun to do to the community. So I know one thing that a lot of people have been mentioning is that the team has been kind of relatively quiet, and I would imagine part of that's just because they're kind of with the testnet now up and running. They probably have their heads down working on some of the technical aspects of the platform. But at the very least, we haven't really heard much as far as any announcements from the team. Then a couple weeks ago, we heard about Hedera 18, which I'll cover in a little bit. But last week, we saw an update pushed out by the team that basically, officially formally announced that the testnet was up and running. And apparently it's spread across 4 continents. And some of the early partners and early projects that we've heard about over the past couple months have been able to join the network or join the testnet and begun to develop their or beginning to develop their dApps on top of it. So I guess I know it's a simple email, probably doesn't mean that much, but I think it's good to see that the team is getting active again as far as pushing out updates to the community, and I hope we get to see more of that. The other thing that was also announced in that update came out last week, and many of us have been hearing over the past couple months, is also they're looking to launch their Fundamentals of Hashgraph course. So basically like a Hashgraph 101 course that they're going to be including in an overall. Sorry, getting the sirens again. Sorry for the New York background noise there. Okay. So as I was saying, they're pushing out the, it looks to be that they're pushing out this course along with a much broader certification program. So I would imagine, given that they announced this in the recent update, we would expect to probably, hear more about this in the coming weeks. And just from some conversations I've had with some of the individual team members, especially on the developer advocacy side, so Ken Anderson and also Tim McHale, I know the last time I spoke to them, they were getting very close to completing the the course, the content. So yeah, I would imagine we're going to start to hear about this very soon.
There's Yemi Taylor on YouTube asking, how can I buy into Hedera Hashgraph as an early investor? And I know they're doing an institutional phase at the moment, right?
Yes, they're at the institutional phase. Yeah, so I guess while we're talking about Hedera Hashgraph updates, if you haven't been paying attention to any of the conversations that have been going on in the Telegram channels and everything, right now they are not doing a public sale. They are doing fundraising right now with institutional investors, but yeah, I guess the one thing is that we just have to hold tight and wait to hear more updates on that. I guess just the one thing in general too, if anyone has any questions about when to ICO or anything about the fundraising, let's just save some of those questions towards the end of the video. But if clearly if anyone's got any pressing questions or whatnot, oh, sorry, that's the SEC coming after me, so I can't talk about the public sale anymore. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway. Okay. So anyway, yeah, let me kind of run through these topics, and then we'll dive into the questions there. So anyway, going back to Hashgraph updates, you guys just bear with me for a second. I'm going to share my screen here because one thing I was just made aware of by the Hashgraph team. Oops. Hold on one second. For whatever reason, it's not wanting me to. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share this. Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to share to the team, well, basically the Hashgraph team had reached out to me and had asked that I also share this with the community. Is that obviously there's some open job positions right now with Hedera Hashgraph, and more specifically, there's an open social media manager role that they have. I think it's been open for the past couple months, but I guess they made a decision internally that this social media manager, they're specifically looking to recruit this directly from the community. They're not looking to go outside, and they're not looking to bring in recruiters. They basically want to kind of source this directly from the Hashgraph community. So they basically had reached out to me to, see if this would be something I, would share with the folks following the Gossip Guy. So I just wanted to kind of draw this to attention in case anyone out there, has some expertise in social media marketing, and also maybe has any interest in potentially, working for Hedera Hashgraph. So, yeah, I just wanted to draw your attention to this job posting. And, if anyone out there, if you're interested, feel free to DM me, and I'll make sure to get you in contact with the Hedera Hashgraph team. So, yeah, I just wanted to just share that with you all. Okay. Oops.
So it's coming a little bit low res from my side, so that the stream is seeing the same quality. Let me see if I can fix that here. Yeah, or you can keep going. I'm just adjusting it because I'm getting your stream and I'm rebroadcasting it to YouTube, and it's
Okay. Yeah.
losing
Sorry
some
about that.
quality. So, but
Yeah. Sorry.
if you have a link to share, just post it, and I'll put it in the browser here so everyone can see it.
Sure. Let me just do that real quick. So I'm going to put this on the Discord server. Also, too, I had a connection issue. Unfortunately, my Wi-Fi crapped out there. So.
Oh, and in case anyone thinks that it's a little bit weird having it set up this way, I'm actually running on 2 battery backup. So even if the power goes out, the stream keeps going.
All right, good. So yeah, if I cut out there, Supermax, don't mind. Please jump in there. Okay, so moving along here. So that was just kind of some overall updates regarding Hedera Hashgraph that I just want to draw your attention to. I guess the next thing I wanted to shift over to is obviously Hedera 18, which I know many of you in the community have probably heard about. So this is their developer conference taking place October 15th through the 17th in Dallas, Texas. And also as part of this developer conference, there's going to be also a hackathon taking place not only in Dallas, Texas, but also taking place in both London, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Singapore, and Tel Aviv, Israel, which is definitely going to be pretty interesting. They're going to be hosting it in these multiple locations. And I guess part of the reason why they wanted to do this kind of distributed hackathon or decentralized hackathon is, kind of in the overall credo of, distributed ledger technologies to have it, kind of dispersed all around the world. So yeah, they want to have these teams set up to basically work on a project throughout the course of the hackathon. So yeah, this is obviously something that's really cool that I know many of us have been kind of waiting to hear more about this developer conference. I know just to let you guys know, I'm going to be attending. I'm also going to be doing some content development while we're at the conference. So yeah, hopefully any of the folks watching this here, hopefully you get a chance to attend the conference. And we'll obviously be doing some coverage regarding this leading up until October 15th. And I've also been in contact with the Hedera Hashgraph team about possibly doing some, collaborating together on some content. So be on the lookout for this. Basically, I would imagine as we hear more updates from the conference, we'll definitely be covering it on the Gossip Guy, channel or even the gossip groups. So stay posted for that. But on that topic too, there was also a email that the team has sent out to the team, kind of covering some of the key takeaways or some of the reasons why you should attend the conference. That basically kind of goes over some 5 key benefits. And I just wanted to just draw your attention to that. So basically, it's an opportunity to attend educational sessions and to learn how to build dApps on top of Hedera Hashgraph, along with receiving presentations from Dr. Lehman Baird talking about the platform. There's expected to be about 1,500 people in attendance, and they're going to be obviously dApp developers, but also people across the full spectrum, from the communities, on the business side, venture capitalists, and just overall enthusiasts about Hedera Hashgraph. So obviously going to be a great networking event. Also too, they're going to be releasing more information about the actual launch of the public network at the event. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of information shared there that you'll get to hear of before stuff hits the masses. And then also too, as I mentioned before, they're going to have some of the Hedera Hashgraph Council members actually there in attendance. So we'll actually, get a chance to meet and interact with some of those companies that will be sitting on the council directly. And also sounds like there's going to be some major sponsors also there at the event. So that should be a pretty cool attribute about the conference. But lastly, one thing that they noted in their update that they sent out to the community, and I know that this drew a lot of attention from folks, is that their kind of 5th reason why you should join is they will also have opportunities for people to own tokens by participating in specific activities at Hedera 18. So I would imagine when they are talking about, potentially offering tokens at the conferences, I would imagine that they're going to be doing some testing of the network itself. So, basically, attendees of the conference are going to actually be able to, potentially run some test scripts on the testnet. I would also imagine anyone that's participating in the hackathon will also probably receive tokens in some manner by participating in that. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of just draw that attention, because clearly anyone that's in the Telegram channels know that one of the top questions that comes up over and over again is, how can you potentially get access to the tokens? So it sounds like if you attend a conference, you might, have an opportunity to do so. So also too, Jesse, I see your question there about the call for papers. So another thing that was noted on the Hedera 18 website, if you go into, forget what page it is, but yeah, there's I think there's a link within the, if you scroll down on the Hedera 18 website, there's a link about becoming a sponsor, I believe.
You have that, Earl? I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna just pull it up here. So just bear with me. Unfortunately, I clicked the wrong link, and now it's causing everything to go crazy here. Okay. Yeah. So then, if you go into the FAQ of the Hedera 18 website, and I'm going to throw the link onto Discord right now. Here we go. There's this call for papers, and basically this is anyone that's interested in potentially presenting at the conference. Basically, there's a form that you can fill out in order to basically, make a pitch for, what, basically requests to speak at the conference. So this was actually something too that had caught my attention. So I had just asked the Hedera Hashgraph team, just try to get some more information on this. So I guess what they're looking for is, they're actually looking for potentially developers or, people from the community that might be working on something interesting or might have a specific topic that they like to, cover at the conference. To basically potentially apply to be a speaker there, and it sounds like it's basically open to anyone that wants to apply. Yeah, and also Rafi on that note too. So I guess call to papers is just the terminology that they're calling it. It's not necessarily white papers. It's just call for speakers. Is probably a better terminology that they should use. But yes, it's just basically if you'd like to be a speaker, you can go to that link and make a request. And it looks like they're accepting applications up until August 31st is the deadline to make a submission. And then they'll making a decision for that. So there was a question, is Gossip Guy, are you going to be speaking there? I guess it hasn't been decided just yet if I'm going to be doing any actual speeches there. I know I'll just let you guys know, I've been in discussions with the team about doing some actual specific content related to the event, obviously doing some behind the scenes, but also too, I want to do something around the hackathon itself. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to be necessarily going to have the time to speak, because it sounds like some of the panels, or I'm sorry, you're going to have more specific speakers on specific aspects of the platform. Whereas, a lot of stuff we're doing is just more kind of just general community discussions. But, we've been in discussions about if there's going to ever be any panels there. There might be a chance for me to moderate one of those. But we're still working out some of the logistics around there. But you can definitely count on me to do some content development at the event. And I know another thing too that I'll probably be planning outside of the actual conference itself, probably one of the nights, either on the 15th or maybe the 16th, we'll host like a Gossip Guy or maybe we call it Gossip Groups, meetup or meet and greet. So obviously, we'll get to see each other at the conference, but we'll host something separate, and potentially we can also tap one of the projects within the ecosystem to co-sponsor it alongside us. So yeah, I guess that's all that I wanted to kind of talk about as far as Hedera 18. So I just mentioned before. Just a question about the call for papers there. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too, as far as some of the, it's going to be the Hedera 18 is going to be a very technology focused event. So yeah, like also too, they're doing a lot of screening as far as, speakers, and also some of the people that are going to be, running some things on the test nets. They're just doing some basic due diligence up front before they open it up to the broader public, just to make sure that nothing disrupts like the test nets in advance. So all right, so okay, just moving along here. So I mentioned before about Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem. So for anyone on the live stream, if you caught my video from this past week, one of the features of that was just giving you all like an update as far as the Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem and some of the projects that have been announced using Hashgraph. Just to give you guys an update, as far as some upcoming content that I'm going to be working on, I just want to let you know that this Thursday, I'm going to have a call with the SageWise team. So be on the lookout over the next couple of weeks for some content focused on SageWise. If you guys don't know, SageWise is basically building a dispute resolution platform, or smart contract safety net using Hedera Hashgraph. Definitely serving they're definitely addressing a very unique use case that clearly anyone that's used smart contracts know there's a whole bunch of things that can go wrong, and essentially SageWise is coming out with a product that will basically aid smart contract developers in better managing their contracts. But I just want to let you know I'm going to have a discussion with the team next week, and be on the lookout for some content there. And obviously another thing, definitely looking to reach out to some of the projects that have been announced in the ecosystem to develop kind of more videos and interviews with the teams. So yeah, if there's any projects that you guys have are interested in that we haven't yet covered on the Gossip Guy channel, definitely let me know, because I'm in discussions with several of the projects, and obviously it'd be great to kind of feature them on the channel.
So yeah, right. So yeah. I didn't want SigPie to be forgotten here. He had a question.
Oh, okay.
He had a question like 18 minutes ago. It's about to expire now. I'm just joking. He says, how many people have signed up for Hedera 18 thus far? A, DEF CON, B, local hackathons. Do we have a number on that? I don't think they spoke about it.
Yeah, they haven't disclosed that yet. So yeah, just going back to Hedera 18, they have yet to disclose. How many people have registered. But it sounds like there was a good amount of registrations, like in the first couple of days when it was announced. So yeah, I would imagine we can definitely start to reach out to the team and see if there's any updates on that. And as far as the local hackathons, yeah, I don't know if that's been disclosed yet too, but I can imagine, given that they're doing it across multiple regions, that there's probably already like a good interest there.
His second question was when developer training course, and I don't think they mentioned anything, but you know what? I'm really good at guessing these things. I'm gonna have to say they'll have to give people at least 2 or 3 weeks before Hedera 18 when they announce it, because people would have to kind of know the code to program for it. So I'd say at least 3 weeks prior.
Yeah. It sounds like they're going to do the fundamentals of Hashgraph course probably coming out. Just my prediction. This is speculation purely. I would imagine we'll probably hear something about the fundamentals course in the next couple of weeks, or like within the next month. So maybe by the end of July into August. I'm just picking up on this from several of the interviews that the team has had. So that will just be the basic course that talks about Hashgraph. As far as the specifics that Supermax you're talking about, and people are asking, I would imagine that that's probably going to come out, some point before the conference itself. Because exactly to that point, you got to make sure that you already are familiar with the code before you can participate in the hackathon. So, yeah. I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah. Maybe we just pause here for a moment and just take a quick couple questions here. By the way, we don't have any set time limit on this, so it's all comes down to how much engaged the audience is. The more questions we'll take, and we'll keep this live stream running. But we'll probably keep it to like within an hour or so. So
yes, that's my experience too.
So let's just pause right here real quick, and let's just go back to some of the questions that came up about the Hashgraph updates, Hedera 18, and then also just we were talking about some of the projects in the ecosystem. So you were going to say something, Supermax?
I was just going to read the other question. There was 3 questions in a row, and that one I know the answer. SN Appy, well, it says, when Lambo, and I know the answer to that. Why would you want to buy a Lambo? The insurance on that is just crazy. And there's your answer.
Yeah, no comment on that. I also see another question from Snappy about virtual presentation options. That's a really good question. I would imagine, like I say, I don't work for Hedera Hashgraph. I don't work for Swirlds. So anything I know is just purely through talking with the team members through public chats or separate chats. It sounds like well, I guess an update as far as like the team itself. They've recently brought on some folks from a video company to kind of work on some things internally. So they definitely have some people that have expertise in doing video productions. So I would imagine that they would be considering doing some sorts of live streams, and also considering they're going to be the distributed hackathon in different regions around the world. I definitely imagine that they're going to be doing some sort of broadcast at the conference too for anyone that might not be able to attend. So, okay. Then the question from Jesse: why aren't you not employed by Hedera Hashgraph yet? So that's a good question. Also, I'll just pause for a moment too. So, many folks that have known me have been following the channel or have had some separate conversations there. So as a full disclosure here, I do not work for Swirlds. I do not work for Hedera Hashgraph. I do not receive any compensation of any form for talking about Hashgraph, nor am I an investor, nor am I given any opportunity to invest in Hedera Hashgraph. I'm just an average community member like all of you. Part of the reason I started to cover Hashgraph was I was introduced to the project very early on. Back in August of last year. I am, on full transparency here, I am good friends with a couple of the team members prior to them joining Hashgraph. So when they were first coming onto the project, they were sharing with me, the white paper. So I was just exposed to the project very early on and didn't really think anything of it. In my mind, it was just another white paper, obviously some very interesting technology. But it wasn't until they actually hosted their the TechCrunch Disrupt hackathon, where they actually had developers build applications using Hashgraph, is when I really had kind of that awakening moment to realize, oh crap, this is actually some really innovative technology. And that's when I have to admit, it was like October is when I really took the project much more seriously. And yeah, I've been following the project pretty actively. Prior to this, I was obviously an active, actively following cryptocurrencies, and was first introduced to coin and other altcoins back in 2013. So yeah, I just kind of dived in and just started becoming really active in the community. And it got to a point where I just kept on asking myself, like, how can I do more? How can I do more with this? Because I don't know if anyone out there was involved or was around when Ethereum launched back in 2014, but I was having flashbacks to 2014 when Ethereum was launching, and some of the people that got involved with the project very early on, whether they were evangelicalists or people talking about the project overall. And I just saw it as an opportunity of like, hey, there's really no one on YouTube doing anything specifically on Hashgraph, or there's really no other content out there completely dedicated to Hashgraph. And they always say if you're ever going to go onto YouTube, you should probably pick a niche topic. So I figured Hashgraph is pretty niche. And just to let you guys know too, I was also doing some video making has been kind of like a side hobby for me. So I figured video making, Hashgraph, might as well put two of my interests together and create some content. So yeah, the point I'm just making is that I'm just an active community member like the rest of you guys. So sorry to go off on that rant there, but I just wanted to let you guys just give you some a little more insights into who I am. And yeah, and I guess part of the reason too, that obviously there's been some discussions about would you like to join the Hedera Hashgraph team? But I think it's obviously I'm a true believer in the project. Great things that they're doing, but at the same time too, there's a lot of benefits that you have by being kind of separate from from the project. It gives me kind of more creative freedom to talk about things, and also too, I figure if you're going to speak for the community, you got to come from the community directly. So I kind of like keeping things independent between each other. Supermax, were you going to say something?
Yeah, well, I was gonna go in the same lines, and then I was about to say what you already said. So I'm starting to doubt your abilities to read minds. But seriously, I was a little bit the same, except for the part that I wanted to create any contents, because obviously I can't tolerate my own face, although my girlfriend says I'm handsome. That's opinions. And I don't like the sound of my own voice, although everyone says it's fine. So I never did the content creation, but I figured when I started, I think it was your second or third video when you started doing it, and I was following Hashgraph, but I didn't know you were doing just Hashgraph, which it's really rare to. Oh, did I lose Gossip Guy?
Oh, sorry. Every time I share the screen, oops, sorry about that.
He's still here. He's still here.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is going to be a very boring live stream. Every time I try to share the screen, it cuts me off from the video. So sorry.
I think people like technical mayhem as long as the stream doesn't go dead. What was I? Yes. So I think it was your third or fourth video. I saw how closely you were following the project. I kept an interest. I kept looking at your videos one after another, and I figured. Obviously, you were starting on YouTube. Your subscriber count was maybe around 152, 128 when I started noticing. Maybe before that, I don't know. But I figured I have experience with streaming. I had experience with YouTube in general. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to do this right now if it wasn't for the effort of both of us together. I mean, it was like I wouldn't call it marriage. But definitely joint effort on both our behalf. He's the front man. He does everything that people need to hear. I am telling you, if you're not watching this guy's channel, then you are missing out. And it doesn't have to be like all the other channels where they have clickbaits, thumbnails. What's wrong with having concise, informative. I'm at a loss for word here. You're the one who usually prepares these these speeches.
Well, basically, the one thing I look at it is, like, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a conflict averse type of person, and then also the other thing is that the second I'm putting myself out there on the internet, there's a certain professional image that you have to maintain. So I always look at it as like any of my friends and family watch these videos. I want to make sure that that's also in line with like who they know me as a person. So I'm not looking to kind of be a separate character. So the person that you see in these videos is the person that you'll see like in in person. So I like to try to keep that consistency. And yeah, with that, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be all flashy and giddy and all the hype. But I just want to share with you guys, and also I know Supermax. This is a project that obviously presents some new opportunities, and we just definitely want we want to share it with folks and just keep people updated. So yeah. Hey, Supermax, if you don't mind, there was a question that came through on the YouTube chat.
Yes.
I know we've been focusing on Discord. So a question came up from Sissima, said, "Hey, Gossip Guy, my name is Jim. I'm currently living in China, and I'm interested in setting up on a Hashgraph testnet here in China. Would you happen to know a Hashgraph community in China?" That's a very good question. So just on that note, so let me first address the Hashgraph community in China. So there actually is a separate Telegram channel in Chinese, and unfortunately we don't have them here. So John Guok, who's one of the admins on the Telegram channel, he lives in Singapore, but he speaks Mandarin, so he's been pretty active in the Hashgraph Chinese Telegram channel. So there's already an active community there, and as far as so that's a potential place to go for some resources, and I do know that there is some folks on the developer Discord channel that are also pretty active from China. So those are potentially two resources you can go to. Let me unfortunately I don't have the Telegram channel or the Chinese Telegram channel at my fingertips, but I'll add it to the comment box right after we get off the live stream. So so Jim, if you don't mind, I'll post it there. And then as far as setting up a test net in China, so that's a really good question. So as far as I know right now, the teams that are the people that are being granted access to the testnet right now are some of the projects that are looking to launch on Hedera Hashgraph. So I would say one avenue of potentially getting a testnet up and running is that if you're a dApp developer, there's a process currently right now in place with Hedera Hashgraph where you can reach out to basically express your interest in launching a dApp, and then they have kind of just a it's not intended to be a bureaucratic process from what I understand, but just want to, since they're in testnet phase, they want to just know who the projects are. There's some reputational management things that they kind of run you through, and then basically after you go through the process, they will grant those projects access to the network. There was a video, just so you're aware, there was a video I did with Jordan Free, the head of business development, that kind of covered how to launch a dApp right now on Hedera Hashgraph prior to their mainnet launch. So that's a good place to go for some resources as far as contact information, who to reach out to. And then the other thing is that there are some people running nodes around the world. I do know some of the Hedera Hashgraph council members, or some of the early council members that have signed up are running nodes. And I'm just, the only reason I know this is just, I've heard this from some of the videos that have been out there that featured Harmon and also Tom Trowbridge from Hedera Hashgraph, where they mentioned that the council members were running it. And then also I know that they, in addition to having the Hedera Hashgraph Council, there's also kind of like a, I don't know if you call it like an advisory board, or there's basically another tier of membership where it's like basically people that are very active in looking to use Hashgraph can also they can also make contributions to the network, and so some of those companies are also beginning to run nodes on the testnet. But I would imagine we're going to hear probably more information on this in the coming month. There was a video a couple weeks ago with Ken Anderson on DAP University, where he also talked about how they're going to go through a phased approach as far as opening up the testnet. So I would just say things, unfortunately, I just don't have the information right now to kind of speak with authority to that. But one option, obviously, is if you want to launch a DApp on Hedera Hashgraph. So, you might want to look into, that avenue.
I want to answer the Jesse's question.
Yeah, I was going to move on to that. You're talking about the names of the 39 members,
right? So the names, the reason, and they probably won't say the reason, but this is from a logical point of view. The reason the name isn't mentioned is like whichever company usually gets mentioned first gets preferable favor. It's not the best way to approach this if they want to give everyone a fair voting, right? If you're gonna, okay, let's say for example you have multiple companies, they're signing up this charter, which is close to what's happening, and 5 of them are no show. So you're gonna leave 5 of them out of the topic of conversation, then you're gonna tell them at the end who they were. It makes them look like they didn't want to participate in the first place. I mean, it's a point of view here, but there's also the fact that I don't think the charter, that's what they're working on, the charter document, is finished yet. And I think Africa, I spoke to a member at some point. They mentioned something about Africa is still in the works, but I don't think they have anyone signed there. And as for company names, it's mostly speculations. And most of us speculates that it's going to be the already existing partners, but nothing has been officially announced.
Yeah. So nothing's officially out there. And the other thing too is like exactly to that point about, you don't want to steal anyone's thunder by releasing the names too soon. It sounds to me also too, they're waiting. They obviously have people fully signed on board to be members, but it's not fair to just release a couple names here and there. I think it's one of these things they're waiting to kind of either do all of them at once and just announce that to the public, or also, just release them in batches. As far as who's council members. Just keep in mind too, these are Fortune 500 companies, like, large global companies. They got to run through their legal departments. There's a process for those companies signing on board. Because the one key feature with these, council members is that they have their reputations on the line. So if they screw up as a council member, it's also going to look bad for, as far as their role in building the future internet, if you want to speculate on that. So I would imagine that they're taking very careful look at any of the legal documents before they join the platform. So yeah, I would imagine we'll probably hear more of this. So yeah, just keep posted on that. So I'm really sorry I don't unfortunately have solid responses or solid gossip, if you call it, to this stuff. But yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Supermax.
We're approaching the 10-minute mark to an hour, technically, and so sometimes a video, if it's longer than an hour, people won't always watch it when it's archived to YouTube. And this was supposed to be meant as a test, because we did like really late. We figured no one would be watching, and boy, we were wrong.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
We gave them No, but we gave them 2 days heads up. That's all we told people, 2 days in advance. And it's a starting community. It's the first time we're doing this, and yes, apparently it's more active than I saw it in the past.
Yeah, and I think we also covered some of the more kind of key points that we wanted to cover. So I guess just so now we're at the 10-minute mark. Just I guess just a couple quick things to run through, and obviously after we're done with the live stream, we'll jump over to the Discord channel where we can chat the night away. If anyone has any questions, I guess we'll just shift over to some of the agenda that I had. Also going back to some of the projects. Another thing, just from speaking with the Hedera Hashgraph team, it almost sounds like also we should be expecting to hear, like, I'm going to go as far as to say weekly, but we're going to start to hear on a regular basis kind of more projects announcing themselves, joining the Hedera Hashgraph public network. so it almost sounded like it's going to be almost on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And unfortunately, I can't disclose the details of it now. But someone from the community had reached out to me regarding a project that's just running through the final stages of like, I guess the PR and like legal reviews before they make an announcement. But it's a very interesting project. It's I guess it's a dApp already set up on Ethereum, but they're looking to port over to their Hashgraph. And it's kind of technical in nature. It basically is like kind of like it's like crowdsourced activities centered around like application development. So just wanted to share that, be on the lookout. It looks like an interesting project. I know I'm not giving you the details on it, but I know it just definitely piqued my curiosity when I saw it. So sorry, I'm keeping the gossip to myself. Also, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know what? I haven't done gossiping since we started this. I haven't gossiped since we started.
That's right. Well, let me just run through these last 2 points here, and then I'll turn it over to you. So also, just while we're talking about other projects in the ecosystem, Satori, unfortunately, I can't pull up the article here, but Satori had an article on Forbes that kind of just talked about, what they're doing. And, it's anyone that's been following Hedera Hashgraph for a while and also been following Satori just kind of covered things that we already, knew about the project. But the one thing I picked up on, and I don't know if anyone knew, had known about this, but actually Gabe Leedon, who's the CEO of MZ, it actually turns out that he stepped down from Machine Zone, the company that he helped founded, the successful gaming company or the game studio. He's actually stepped down from MZ to now focus on Satori and also, I guess, the lit token that they're going to have with the Satori platform. He stepped down to basically focus on that full time. So I thought that was pretty interesting just to see, here's a pretty prominent guy from Silicon Valley stepping down from a very prominent role to now work on this very interesting platform within the Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem. So that was pretty cool. And then the other thing is that if anyone watched if anyone has watched the launch event back in March 13th, they were featuring some of the attributes of Satori platform, and they covered like some of the smart city work that they were doing. They couldn't disclose which city they were working on, but I guess they've. It turns out that it was actually Auckland, New Zealand, where they were running some of the first test runs of Satori and the smart city, use cases for the platform. They were doing it right there in Auckland, New Zealand, and it also turned out it was like 2 summers ago. So. Sounds like Satori is pretty mature as far as what they have already, and it looks like the main reason that they're looking to launch on a distributed ledger technology is that they're essentially looking to eliminate the need for servers. Now I'm going to throw something out there, and I do know we have some representation from the New Zealand community on the chat, but I'm just going to throw something out there. So one thing I also want to note too, Auckland, New Zealand, Satori was running their smart city tests there. I don't know if anyone's picked up on some interviews that the Hashgraph team has covered over the past couple of months, but there's been talks of a potential, essentially like a decentralized Uber, and they were mentioning that someone in Auckland, New Zealand was looking to set that up. I'm just curious if there's any relations between that decentralized Uber and like Satori, because like they also mentioned it too at the launch event that someone could launch a like decentralized Uber. So that's definitely something that's gossip and obviously some speculation there. So yeah, that was just some project updates, and then also another thing, just so you guys are aware, there was a conference that took place earlier this week, the Hack Summit, where Dr. Lehman Baird presented. I guess they already posted the playback on YouTube, so I definitely recommend you take a look at it. So actually, Lehman didn't necessarily present on Hashgraph, but he talked about Byzantine fault tolerance and just some of the background of why that's important in distributed ledger technologies. Yeah, I definitely recommend you check out that video. So, Supermax, sorry, I know you had some things that you wanted to say there.
Yes. And I think it's pretty big, and this isn't a rumor because it's already on the internet.
Go for it.
Give me a second. My dog is
go for it.
My dog is licking something he shouldn't be licking. I stopped it. Oh my god! I'm gonna have to clean him after. Oh crap! Oh crap! Okay, he's messy now. Okay, let's go back.
Put away the peanut butter. Put away the peanut butter.
No, it's tomato sauce on his face.
I don't want to ask questions. I don't want to ask questions.
Okay, so going back to the gossip. This is on the internet. If you look for it, you'll find it. Nothing private there. Apparently, Google is actually looking or considering Hedera Hashgraph. It was mentioned somewhere on the internet. I saw a little whisper. They didn't say how much they want to invest into it, or even if it's something that they'll work on, or maybe they want to copy it. I don't know. All I know is that it's on their radar, and if it's on their radar, that means big things is coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop this. We put this on the news.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Discord, but I'm gonna put this on the Discord. Yeah. Now the one thing is just always got to take things with a grain of salt. Like that's definitely cool to hear that someone at Google thinks that Hashgraph is interesting.
Yeah.
Same time too, it comes from Crypto Insider. I've seen a couple posts from it, but you never know. Is this a credible source and anything? But I have to admit, I don't want to diminish that news, but I have heard a couple times already that Google and their Hashgraph had been talking.
Here's the section.
I don't want to stir the speculation here, but I do know that there has been discussions between the two.
But sometimes something that's just a rumor gets into something bigger because the rumor got started.
Right.
We don't know what's gonna come of this, but I think it was kind of interesting that the name got dropped like that. It didn't come officially from Google, but suffice to say, somewhere, somehow, someone is passing the word around that Google is considering Hashgraph. So how did they get access to that information? We don't know.
Well, in fairness, they said that of all the distributed ledger technologies that are out there, the one that's most interesting, in addition to Cardano, someone at Google said, Hashgraph is another one that they're, could be the next big thing in the crypto space. So they didn't necessarily say that they're officially, using it, but someone gave some positive commentary about Hashgraph from Google.
Right, and Crypto Insider, just looking at their 21 million under our domain name, I think they started based off Bitcoin. And in general, they do Bitcoin news, so it's not to their advantage to speak about a Hashgraph. They have nothing to gain. So I think there's something worth to this. We just don't know yet. I'd say we should keep a close eye between relationship between Google and Hashgraph in the months to come.
Yeah, and also SigPie in the comments on Discord, just reiterating the fact, mention Hashgraph as a possible example. So let's not stir the speculation just yet. But
I'm not chilling anything, but I will keep an eye out.
Right, keep an eye out. But also too, the other thing is that same article had was primarily focused around Cardano, and talking about that. Actually, the other thing I would like to just point out, and I don't know if anyone's picked up on it in the past couple months, but it seems like Hashgraph and also Cardano has crossed paths a bunch of times, and Charles Hawkinson has also had made some public comments about Hashgraph. So unfortunately, I can't share my screen right now. But there was a Brave New Coin article, we covered on the Gossip Guy channel last week, but it had some commentary about what other people were saying about DAGs. And there was a quote, I guess, Charles had presented on, a couple months ago, where he just basically really Cardano. Oh, I'm sorry, I have an upstate New York accent. I pronounce my O's like A's, my A's like O's, so I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, Snappy. So anyway, so Charles presented on, basically involved DAGs, and basically I'm gonna, this might be a might be misinterpreting what he said, but it sounded, he gave basically some negative viewpoint, negative commentary about DAGs overall, basically kind of trashing them. And then there was also another article someone had was sharing on the Telegram channel today about how also Charles has been on a warpath, or been pretty active as far as speaking out against CoinDesk for not having enough coverage regarding Cardano. No, not with an A.
I think they're just trolling you at this point. It's all in good fun. Sig Pi, try this one. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. There you go. Go ahead, write that one.
Oh yeah, you dropped off there. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, they were commenting why CoinDesk hasn't been covering the project. Why they would cover Hashgraph that hasn't been launched yet, but yet they wouldn't cover Cardano. There we go. I got it. Cardano. I'm sorry. So yeah, they were asking why they weren't covering it. So I wanted to point that out because that was another kind of intersection point with Hashgraph. Very nice. All right.
So I think we spoke about a lot of things right now, but I wanna mention the reason of the live stream.
Yep.
So the purpose of the live stream is and I kept pushing for Gossip Guy. I think he agrees with me. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he will. The purpose of the live stream is to give regular people a voice. We're hoping that on the next live stream, which will probably be on a Saturday earlier, so it might accommodate a few and others not so much. But we're hoping that people from the community, not people from Hedera, not people from Swell, we have nothing against them. We want to hear you guys actually speaking out, your opinion, what you think about this, what you see the future. You have question live. You even want to address answers from the community that's they're asking questions. Maybe be a little bit as a co-pilot, I guess. Can you say that? Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a new format. I thought it was a good idea of just getting the community involved, and think of it like morning shows when people calls in and they're having a communication with just random strangers. Then it wouldn't be so random. Of course, there's the Discord community.
Yeah, and just to make a pitch for the Gossip Guy, what we're doing on YouTube, also the Gossip groups, is ultimately this is all community-driven content. So, like I mentioned before, I'm just like the rest of us in the community. Just want to actively talk about Hashgraph. So, obviously, all this stuff we want to open it up to everyone to get involved with, and this is ultimately we want to make this community focused, and we want as much as the community involved. So yeah, to Supermax's point, we hope to have more of these live streams. This one was clearly just a test, it's, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it's been fun. I thought this was only going to last 30 minutes, but we're clearly over that. And
there's a question. Sorry. There's a question we missed out. Is there an email for people who are looking accredited investors? I remember there's an email they can send to a Hedera team if they want to show their interest, and I forgot what the email was.
All right. So I'm also an admin on the Telegram channel, and I know SigPi is too. So just to reiterate, if you're have any interest in Hedera Hashgraph, whether it's potentially being involved in a SAFT or anything like that in the future, head over to the Hedera Hashgraph website, and up at the top. Sorry, I'm reverse order here, but it's on the top right-hand corner. It's a field to register your interests, and in that there's a whole series of things that you can check the box on as far as what you're interested in. And there's obviously a field there where you can say, hey, I'm interested in potentially participating in, if you have a SAFT crowd sale. And another thing that they just recently put on the website a couple of weeks ago was that also, hey, I'm also interested in participating in end user testing. Also, as the team has mentioned before, they will be having opportunities for people to potentially receive tokens for participating in the end user testing. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Supermax, anything else before we kind of wrap things up?
No. I'm hoping that we can get a third, maybe a fourth person.
Okay, I think you cut out there. So.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just hoping on the. I know the community is getting involved and they're typing, but if one of you guys next time, I know I'm just repeating myself, but I want to make sure the community gets a voice and not just us. If one of you guys want to step up, grab a microphone. Doesn't have to be a good one, but just grab a microphone. You don't have to be on a webcam. I honestly would like to have someone from the community to speak up, to share, because we want to go as unbiased as possible. And although Gossip Guy is not affiliated with Hedera, he's not affiliated with Swirls, it's hard to be completely unbiased if you love a project, right? He's not really starting from scratch. He's doing his community support, his own efforts. But what I want here, and I think he's going to agree with this, what I want here is having someone from the community which could potentially be neutral and wants to say something, wants to speak up if they want to take half an hour or 20 minutes, and we get that conversation going with between the chat and themselves. And I think that'd be perfect. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is also, just on a note too, before we wrap up, we were going to have, we kind of pulled an audible at the last minute. We were going to set up a channel for people to also, speak, because we're running this actual stream through Discord, but posting it onto YouTube. But on Discord, there's a feature where people can actually go in and there's a voice channel where you can leave like, a voice message, or you can, basically wait in queue to ask a question directly. And we were also trying to do a multi-chat. So Snappy, who's also on, who was on there, so he got some behind-the-scenes preview of how we're preparing for the chat. But yeah, we're definitely going to plan to have that set up on the next live stream. And to Supermax's point, like, obviously we want to hear from you guys directly. Like I said, this wouldn't be a community, focused content if we don't hear directly from you in the community. So, yeah. So
I'm all good here.
All right. Okay. So yeah, basically we'll just kind of wrap things up here. So obviously, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This was a unique experience, and I really appreciate you also, taking your time to join the live stream, in spite of this being a test run. And we just spent an hour of only seeing the Gossip Guy in my apartment. We'll obviously make it more fun and exciting in the future with trying to share the screen, whatnot. But I just want to thank you all for taking the time and spending your Friday night or Saturday morning. And yeah, we hope to have more live streams like this, and also planning on putting out more content in the future. But one thing I've been holding out on before we wrap up here, I do want to share one piece of gossip, because this would not be the Gossip Guy without sharing this. And I can't go into too much details, but I will let you know that there is going to be a big announcement, so it was said to me, from Hedera Hashgraph within the next week or two. I think it was originally they were going to do it next week, but it looks like they might be pushing it back a week and a half. Coming out, I do not know the specifics behind it, but I do know that they, basically I was given a heads up to, prepare myself to potentially make some content, or this is something that it's worthwhile for you to make some content around. So just want to keep you guys posted. we should expect to hear an announcement in the coming, 1 to like week and a half. And then obviously, Gossip Guy, I'm your trusted source for news and developments from the world powered by Hashgraph. So you can definitely count on me to have some featured coverage of this. And obviously stay posted to the Gossip Group's Discord server where, we'll obviously be sharing this information once it's made available. So I think with that being said, we're going to drop off here. And if anyone wants to join us, we'll hop over to the Discord server and just continue the chat over there. So with all that being said, this is the Gossip Guy signing out. Thanks for watching.